Welcome everyone to another episode of Get Tech Smart Global Explosion, a mini series for the LinkedIn Accelerator Program, Technology and Innovation. So I'm traveling around the world virtually, and this time around I'm making my way to the Caribbean. And no, we're not going to the beach. We're going to talk Caribbean tech. And for my guest today, all the way in Jamaica, is Ingrid Riley. Ingrid, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm really excited to talk about Caribbean tech. So right now you are the co-founder, CEO, all the lovely titles we want to put for a podcast. So let's start there. Tell us more about it's This Week in Caribbean Tech.
Yes.
Okay.
So this week in Caribbean Tech is our latest iteration of a weekly podcast that focuses on the top Caribbean tech news. We give you unfiltered insights. We do newsmaker interviews. And when I say we, it's my co-host is Danielle Smith, who is a Trinidadian American who lives in Miami, who has a property tech startup called Keepingly. And so we do this. We actually just dropped a new episode today. It's dropped every Friday. And so that's what we do. And so that's what This Week in Caribbean Tech is a podcast from Silicon Carib.
Okay, so Silicon Carib. So
Yeah.
there's a lot going on in tech in the Caribbean that
Absolutely.
Fortunately, I have to say that people don't know about. So we want to go ahead and put a spotlight. So we know Silicon Valley in California, but there is a Silicon Caribbean tech happening. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I have been, doing Silicon Carib for 15 years. It's our 15th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Pardon?
I say congratulations.
Thank you. And it started with actually a single blog, siliconcarib.com. And, we said, gosh, we're at the time I was co-founder of a digital agency called Dutch Spot Interactive. And we're taking, Jamaican and Caribbean businesses online. And we just kind of was like curious as to who else is in this internet space. And so we started getting information. So let's put it in a single space on a blog online so everybody can actually see it. And so that blog then led to an event called Kingston Beta, which was bringing together all the entrepreneurs, internet entrepreneurs and tech entrepreneurs in Jamaica. And so between the blog and the event Kingston Beta, it basically kickstarted a movement here in Jamaica that we exploded also to 10 Caribbean countries as well. So Silicon Carib, meaning the people and businesses that are actually creating and starting businesses and driving the Caribbean digital economy, is alive and well.
Wow. Yeah. And what would you say are the big tech movements that you're seeing? Because in the US, we're seeing a lot of AI and a lot of financial tech. We have green tech. I mean, the list is long. Are you seeing similar accelerations of tech sectors like here in the US?
Absolutely. The Caribbean, as I said, one of the missions of Silicon Carib is to disrupt the Caribbean narrative that we are a place where you only come to get your groove back and your tan on. And this is a place that, is steeped in, innovation and entrepreneurship and excellence. And so as we have generative AI happening across the world, we do have it here too. As we have, but what is really blossoming, especially over the last couple of years. Pardon me, there's a mosquito rolling around
That's
here.
Right. I thought we were dancing because we're so happy about tech.
Well, that too. But particularly over the last 3 to 5 years, I would say fintech, blockchain, crypto, e-commerce, and of course, climate tech that are really kind of bubbling up and getting a lot of attention here in the region. But of course, people are solving for different things. They're solving for building the capacity, digital capacity, digital skills capacity of our region. So there are people who are doing educational tech startups as well, and have actually gone IPO on the stock exchange here in Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
So there are some really interesting things happening in the region, but particularly over the last 3 to 5 years, those areas are getting a lot of attention and showing a lot of traction from the entrepreneurs, as well as from and the communities that are built around the products that they have been putting out.
Yeah. Are you seeing money that's pouring in from the outside? Like, are you seeing outside investors that are having an interest on the growing tech ecosystem in the Caribbean?
Yes, definitely now. Before, they're like, okay, our ecosystem is a little bit too young, and I totally get that. I mean, I've been in the game for 15 years, and I'd say it's pretty much like only the last 5 years that we've seen what we call an abundance or a growing abundance of startups and also established businesses doing certain things. And so, yeah, there's money, and our angel and VC industry is pretty nascent as well. Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados kind of lead, and now Bahamas kind of lead the charge where that is concerned. But yes, we do have, I wouldn't say a lot, but interesting, I would say, starting maybe a little bit of a flow of external cash coming into the region. And it's primarily through the diaspora, the Caribbean diaspora that is in the United States and Europe, mm-hmm. and also through all those entrepreneurs that travel to Silicon Valley, Silicon Alley, New York, to Miami, which is like, we call it Kingston 21. So that they've been going and actually gaining the attention and also the interest of, say, venture firms or, angel investors. So, yeah.
Yeah. And why do you think that one of the industries that's growing is the fintech sector? I'm just curious as to why there's a huge spike in those startups.
So we have a hell of a problem. So we have big problems in especially in the digital payment section. We have a traditional legacy banking sector, which is pretty much the case around the world, right? But they tend to like to hold on to this part of the world, especially because a lot of those banks are not Caribbean grown, right? And so they're specifically around enabling e-commerce, digital payments that allow e-commerce to happen. Simple digital payments for maybe a startup that wants to test an idea and they want to be able to put up a page that allows people to pay them by credit card, debit card. It was an issue because our laws were just not there. And no, when the laws came into play around 10 years ago, then it was the culture, the banking culture, that wasn't getting with it. As usual, they say innovation tends to outpace culture and legislation, and that was the case. So we had a lot, and we still do have a bunch of problems around digital payments and enabling sectors like e-commerce. So a lot of people decided they're going to try and solve it, because like the good entrepreneurs that we are here in the region, we find workarounds. So right. While something as simple as PayPal would work in the United States or Europe, it doesn't work in the region. And as simple as so there, but of course, thankfully that there are entities like Stripe and wonderful marketplace facilitators like Shopify. And so Caribbean people have been doing that, using those platforms and using those opportunities. But also they thought, let us create our own. So we have, I would say, definitely nice uptick around digital wallets and digital payment systems that now say, hey, to Visa, to MasterCard, to other younger or more disruptive payment service providers, like, hey, let us collaborate, because there is a unmet need an underserved market here in the region that is quite lucrative. And so that's why fintech, that's why crypto are very, very sexy and are actually helping to meet a need and to solve a problem here in the region. And
Yeah, and that makes
that's
sense.
pretty much the case for like Africa as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense, right? You're going to, tech is about creating solutions for
Absolutely.
everyday problems, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
that's
yes.
what we're seeing around the world is these solutions being created. But I think
Yes.
for me, what unfortunately, and why I'm using this platform, we're seeing some excellent solutions created by women and minorities,
Yes.
but they're not getting the spotlight they deserve. And I think what you're doing with your podcast and working in the Caribbean tech sector is you're really helping to shine that light on there.
Absolutely.
What else do you think can be done to really bring in more funding to help grow the Caribbean tech sector?
I mean, when you look at in terms of what's needed for us to grow more is for us to keep learning new digital skills. We need to, from high school or from earlier, get our people understanding that there's a plethora of digital skills and digital opportunities, digital careers, digital business prospects that's there, and have them enable them to learn new things and to be able to either get a job or start or launch a startup that's surrounded a particular problem.
Yeah.
And so that's without question, that's it. And also, and that's one of the reasons why we have Silicon Carib, the blog, and our events and our podcasts and our communities, is that people can't be what they can't see. And so it's good that they see that they are Caribbean people, whether they're in Bahamas, Aruba, Trinidad, Barbados, Kingston, that are actually doing amazing things. They have great digital careers. They're launching interesting tech startups that are solving problems that are local, regional, and even applicable to global. And so seeing those stories, meeting those people through the communities is a great catalyst for the next generation. It's a great catalyst for collaborating now within our community and also with the rest of the world. In terms of getting more money in, is again people knowing what is happening. So they're seeing the stories, they're engaging with the communities, and they, most importantly, that they understand the Caribbean. People say, oh, only 44 million people, that's a small market compared to Latin America or to Africa. Yeah, so it may not be, so for them, the Caribbean is a nice to have in terms of a space, not a must have. But I think that is changing very quickly, especially when we talk about crypto remittances, when we talk about the intersection of tech and travel, the intersection of tech and climate issues. And also people need to understand, while in essence, in the region, we have 44 million people, we have a very healthy diaspora that is in the United States and the UK and Canada that are powerful and are an amazing pocket of opportunity in terms of a bunch of different businesses. So when they actually seek to go beyond the mere numbers, as certain venture capitalists tend to do, which is why I think right now it is really more of an angel investor play or a private equity play, but primarily an angel investor play that actually say, you know what, it's okay that the VCs are not in on this game right now, because the VCs, without question, have a particular mindset. They want the 10x, 20x, 50x that are not what they're used to in other markets, and they want to exit in a particular way. But more patient and smart capital will seek to understand the nuances and understand that opportunities don't often come clothed in the same way in the same markets. And so that has to be that's how I see it right now when it comes to the growth of digital Caribbean, of Silicon Caribbean.
Yeah. People can't be what they can't see. And this is why exposure is so important. I'm always talking about having various tools available in terms of training, whether it's apprenticeship program where you learn and earn. This is how you get more women and more minorities into these sectors is they gotta see that.
And I don't like that word minorities, by the way.
You don't? Oh, what do you prefer?
Well, I reject it. We're just black. We're black and we're Caribbean. Every time I go to the States and I hear, yeah, you know, and I'm a minority, I said, minority compared to who? And who? I said that people don't understand the power of words, right? People don't understand the power of words. I'm not a minority. I'm Ingrid Riley. I'm a Jamaican, I'm a Caribbean national. I'm also a global citizen. I'm not a freaking minority. I'm not going to allow you to put me in a box so you can try and
I love
put me in there. So no, I reject that.
And as you should, because you are slaying it in the Caribbean, and I think they just heard you all around the world. You are definitely disrupting. I am so happy that you took the time to showcase on what's going on in the Caribbean, because after this interview, I think you're going to have some people knocking on your door wanting to know more about who you are.
Absolutely.
You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. What an honor. Ingrid Riley, she is not a minority. Don't call her that at all. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Get Tech Smart Global Explosion. Stay tuned for more episodes.